Parang wala. So, our flow of discussion. So, introduction, principles of geriatric care, understanding aging, and yung changes na nangyayari. CGA, MGS, geriatric syndrome, and assessment. Sa geriatric syndrome, pumili lang ako ng apat na very, very important. Kasi 13 yung domains. So, baka di na tayo matapos. So, first is gerontology versus geriatrics. So, pag sabi mong gerontology, siya yung study of aging. So, para siya sa, kasama dyan yung mga allied health natin. So, for example, yung mga nurses natin na, ano yun? Ayun. So, yung mga nurses natin na nagkaroon ng additional training for geriatric care, so, pwede silang, ayan, under sila dyan. Pag sabi mo namang geriatrics, it's related to the physician. So, yung mga doctors natin na nag-specialize sa geriatric care. Yan. So, sino ba yung may kailangan ng geriatric care or who needs to be referred to geriatricians? So, hindi lahat actually. And you can see that naman sa FMOPD natin. 'Di ba? Hindi naman porket 60 or 70 or 75 years old siya, automatic nare-refer natin sa geria. So, sino-sino lang ba yung kailangan? So, una is meron silang considerable impairment or they are considered frail. Second is, there is considerable stress dun sa caregiver. So, sino-sino sila? Yung mga may chronic conditions. Medyo complicated na yung situation given yung pang-third natin na may kailangan ng complex treatments, tapos marami ng multidisciplinary na talaga siya. So, marami ng doktor na involved dun sa care ng patient. So, ideally, nare-refer siya kay Jeria kasi parang si Jeria. Okay, ito na yung multidisciplinary versus interdisciplinary. So, si Jeria para sa akin kasi interdisciplinary siya. Hindi siya dapat multidisciplinary. Ano yung difference nila? Pag sabi mo kasi multidisciplinary, may plano si cardio, may plano si pulmo, may plano si palya, may plano si Jeria. Kanya-kanya kami. May kanya-kanya kaming goal. Okay? But we are involved in one patient. Pero pag sabi mong interdisciplinary, yung plano ni cardio, yung plano ni pulmo, ni palya, kailangan, kumbaga, pag-usap-usapan namin lahat. Okay? Tapos, dapat meron kaming one goal lang. Parang ganun siya. So, yon. So, si Jeria kasi, dapat interdisciplinary siya in nature. Malalaman nyo siya kung bakit ganon pag diniscuss ko na yung geriatric syndromes. So, ano yung goals of care? So, meron tayong fina-follow na 4M's framework. So, ito yung nagiging guide natin when we treat older adults. More on, yung principle kasi na to, more on ano na siya, sa geriatrician. Pero kasi, applicable din, magagamit natin in a way dito sa ating OPD. So, unang-una, what matters most? So, yan. Ano ba yung importante dun sa patient? So, especially, di ba ginagawa din naman natin to sa palya? So, yung what matters most to them, yun kasi yung nagiging guide natin to their goals of care. Okay? So, ano yung importante sa kanila across all settings of care? May mga older adults na, older adults yung tawag natin sa kanila, hindi senior, hindi ano. So, more politically correct term ay older adults. So, across all settings, so minsan hindi naman sila end of life. Pero ayaw na nila ng masyadong aggressive na intervention. So, yun. And then, mind, prevent, identify, treat, and manage depression, dementia, and delirium. So, siguro sa atin, important na ma-identify natin ano ba yung condition ng patient. Is it dementia, delirium, depression? Then, we make the necessary referrals. And then, mobility. Yung pinaka-goal mo pag nagtitreat ka ng older adults is to ensure their independence. So, kasama dun yung mobility nila. Kasi syempre, kung di sila nakakakilos, marami silang mga bagay na usual na ginagawa nila noon na di na nila magagawa. And then your medication. So, use age-friendly medications that do not worsen mental status and function. So, and those medications should not interfere with what matters most to them, with their continued mobility and their level of cognition and mentation across settings of care. So, here's okay. So, here sa ating medications, meron tayong Beers criteria. So, maganda na ma-check muna natin or ma-counter-check muna natin with our dun sa may listahan na yun, kung ano ba yung effect niya dun sa patients natin. So, meron kasi itong mga medications na makikita nyo, hindi siya advisable na binibigay. For example, diphenhydramine, hindi ka nagbibigay nun kapag ka, um, older adults yung patient. So, yun. And then, principles of geriatric care. So, in older patients, yung intervention na ginagawa mo, dapat, ang palagi mong iniisip is paano siya apekto sa independence ng patient at sa functionality niya. Because yung number one goal nga natin is to ensure that we maintain the independence of our older adults. Kasi pag nawawala yung independence sila, mas nagiging dependent sila sa caregivers. Some of them, yung feeling nila, nawawalan sila ng sense of purpose. So, yun na yung, minsan doon na nagsa-start yung depression, tapos doon nalalabas yung mga iba pang Zeria syndromes niya. So, understanding aging. So, meron, yung basis ko pala dito is geriatric training for primary care. DOH manual siya. So, sabi niya dito, nilagay niya sa dalawang spectrum yung changes na nangyayari sa aging. Number one is the biological level and the other is societal level. So, syempre yung biological, meron tayong accumulation ng damages, molecular and cellular, na nagre-result sa decreased physiologic reserves, mas mataas yung risk for other diseases, and all of this culminating sa decrease ng capacity ng individual. While your societal level, dito naman is nagkakaroon ng shifting of roles, no? So, and social positions ng patient. That might take its toll on the patient. Pero yun kasi yung mga bagay na hindi obvious. And, yan, dealing with loss of close relationships. Yan. So these are, sorry, hindi nyo medyo maliit. Si-share ko na lang yung PowerPoint din sa inyo. But these are some of the important physiologic changes that occurs in older adults. So dapat alam nyo rin kung ano yung normal din na part or pagbabago na nangyayari. So, ayan, increased body fat. So, tumataas yung body fat nila, bumababa yung muscle mass nila. So, that's why they are more predisposed to develop sarcopenia. So, yon. Tapos, loss of collagen and elastin. So, kaya din yung mga older adults natin, mas mabilis silang mag-develop ng pressure ulcers. Yan yon. And then, syempre, meron ka dyan yung presbyopia natin, and then presbycusis, and then, um, yan, decrease lang elasticity, increase chest wall stiffness. And then, ito, some other, ano na lang ito. Basahin nyo na lang itong part na ito. Pero, yan. Ito pala, sorry. Sa decrease colonic motility. So, kaya marami tayong patients na dumadating sa atin, ang chief complaint nila ay may change sa bowel movement. Okay? So, yung iba, nagiging once a week na lang yung bowel movement nila. So, pag ganun, wag natin i-discount kaagad na, kasi ano, baka physiologic change lang siya. Investigate pa rin. Let's investigate pa rin kung, um, and look for other causes. Pero kasi, yung common na nangyayari sa older adults is, they try to decrease their food intake. Kasi dumalabas na yung mga sakit-sakit nila, di ba? So, magta-try silang mag-diet, magdi-decrease yung food intake nila. Tapos, pag nag-decrease yung food intake nila, syempre, yung lalong bumabagal yung, yung motility. So, ayun, parang nagiging sanga-sanga na siyang problem. Pero siguro yung important lang is, although we know that there is a decreased colonic motility, wag natin i-discount yun. Always still investigate and rule out all possible causes. So, pag na-rule out mo na, then, and then, Ayan, decreased stage 4 sleep. So, um, dun sa sleep cycle natin, kung ang ano natin dyan ay same time pa rin yung kailangan ng older adults na oras. So, 7 to 8 hours of sleep pa rin. Pero, may certain part lang nung sleep cycle na mas bumababa, which is yung stage 4 sleep. So, kaya din mas mababaw yung tulog nila minsan. Ganyan. Tapos, isa pa dito ay, um, isa pa dito ay they're more predisposed with insomnia kasi maaga yung maaga yung nagiging pagtulog nila. So, maaga din yung nagiging pagising din nila. So, yun yung mga changes na mga nangyayari. Tapos, meron ding, siguro good to know na lang tong sa cognitive function. So, this is associated with a decrease in capacity to tackle complex tasks that require dividing or switching attention. So, as nag-age, mas nahihirapan mag-multitask. Basically, yun. Pero, hindi niya nare-reduce yung capacity to maintain concentration or to avoid distraction. Okay? Pero merong part pa rin ng cognitive function natin na hindi naman na-affect ng aging. And that is yung comprehension, reading, and vocabulary. Unless na lang, of course, magkaroon siya ng problema sa mata, problema sa... Yan. And then, yan. Communication with older adults. I'm not sure if you've come across the term ageism. Pero merong concept na ganyan. So si ageism, it's stereotyping and discriminating an individual or groups based on their age. So pwedeng prejudicial, discriminatory, institutional policies and practices. Example is, nung COVID-19 pandemic, lahat ng mechanical ventilator, ang least priority ay yung matatanda. So I think sa Spain yata yon na pag matanda ka, dinala ka sa ER, may COVID ka, hindi ka na ini-intube, hindi ka na minimekvent. Kasi yung McBed, binibigay na lang nila sa mas younger. So, yun yung example ng ages. And, yan. So, ito yung um, pinoint out lang doon sa manual na ano yung nagiging different kapag kausap natin yung older adult. So, number one is our attitude and beliefs towards the older person. So, yun nga, most of us may ageism na, kasi matanda na siya, kaya ganito yung nararamdaman niya, or something like that. And then, ano yung perception nyo? And then, your evaluation and what you choose to do or not to do in response dun sa mga concerns ng patient. Kasi minsan, di ba, sobrang dami na nilang sinasabi na parang ang hirap nang isa-isahin pa sa kanila. Or meron silang mga ini-insist na para sa atin, dinidiscount lang natin. So, yun. And then, of course, kapag kakausap natin ang patient, we also have to take into consideration yung medical concerns in relation to geriatric care. So, syempre sa kanila, multimorbid talaga. No? Marami talagang sakit. And then, some of the diseases have atypical presentations. And then, you have your polypharmacy. Tapos, ang dami nang doktor na involved. And, minsan nagkakaroon na rin ng cognitive issues and sensory changes. Yung five senses natin, as we age, nagde-decline din siya. So that's your vision, hearing, taste, smell, touch. And then, syempre, yung chance of miscommunication, palaging meron pagka older adults. No? So, yun nga, minsan, yung eyeglasses nila, hindi na maayos yung grado. Minsan, may problem na pala sa hearing, o kaya hindi ginagamit or hindi na gumagana yung hearing aid. Yun. And then, of course, sa kanila, when we look at older adults, meron ng psychological and social concerns. So, number one, syempre, yung mga losses na pwedeng anticipatory, pwedeng nangyari sa kanila, such as the bereavement, fears about their own future, dependency, minsan yung mga problema nila na wala nang mag-aalaga sa kanila, wala nang pera pang para sa panggastos nila. And then yung environment. Um, meron siyang binanggit dito na type ng medical visit. So, triadic and ignoring talk. Minsan daw, kapag kausap natin or patient natin na isang older adult, tas may mga kasama siyang relatives, minsan, ang nagsasalita yung relatives. Tahimik lang yung patient. O kaya, di siya masyadong nag... Tas tayo din, dahil ganun, ang kausap natin yung relative. Yung patient niya, kausap. Nakikinig lang din siya. And then, ignoring talk. So, yun nga, pwedeng maramdaman ng patient na ini-ignore na lang natin siya, hindi na natin pinapakinggan kung ano yung important sa kanya. So, yun. Ito lang yung do's and don'ts. But basically, um, parang number one dito is of course, still our communication skills. So, when we talk to older adults, better pa rin na, syempre, yung tone of voice, facial expression, yung words, yung gestures, and yung ability natin na pakinggan yung criticisms nila, complaints nila, yung ability natin na i-correct sila, na hindi sila na-offend, yung mga ganon. So yun, sorry, medyo maliit lang. I-share ko na lang din yung ano na yan. And then we go to the comprehensive geriatric assessment. So, di ba kasi, yun nga, maraming ang nangyayari sa matanda, no? So parang nag-isip sila ng way, paano ba natin ma-assess lahat-lahat ng to na wala tayong mamimiss out. Kaya lumabas si Comprehensive Geriatric Assessment. It's a multidisciplinary evaluation in which the multiple problems of older persons are uncovered, described, and explained if possible, and in which the resources and strengths of the person are cataloged. Um, so, okay. So, ganito siya. We are doing the Comprehensive Geriatric Assessment already in the ward. Pag second year nyo, doon nyo siya ma-experience. So, and that's what we're doing, di ba? So, maraming doctors, maraming allied health involved. And may kanya-kanyang assessment na ginagawa. So, for example, yung nurses. So, si nurses, assigned sa kanya yung isang part. Ano ba assigned sa nurses? Frail yata or fall risk. So assign kay nurse na mag-assess ng fall risk. Sa nutritionist, of course, yung nutrition. Sa dentist, of course, yung oral health. Then we have the rehab med. So frailty naman kay rehab med. So tapos meron din tayong mga social workers na katulong natin. So as you can see from the screening na sa mga doctors na tumingin doon sa patient, sa ER, sa ano. And then, ipapasa siya sa taas, sa Geria ward natin, meron tayong CJA team evaluation wherein lahat ng services involved mag-a-assess ng kanya-kanya nilang assigned syndrome. Tapos, lahat yon, di ba, i-relay natin sa family kung ano yung findings, ganyan. And then, tinutulungan din tayo ng ating mga social workers sa pag-assess din sa social concerns ng family. So, si CGA, in sa ibang settings kasi, papel siya, 20 pages, sasagutan nyo. Pwedeng geriatrician ang gumawa. Pero, definitely, sa 20 pages, hindi mo siya kayang gawin ng isang upuan. So, babalik at babalik yung patient. So, usually, ginagawa siya every follow-up. So, for example, ngayon, ginawa niya yung first 2 pages, sa susunod, next 2. Kaso, kung makikita mo, kung ganun yung gagawin mo, may na-determine ka ng sakit, pero minsan hindi mo pa magawa ng intervention kasi hindi pa tapos lahat ng assessment mo. Tapos, minsan, hanggang doon na lang yung assessment mo sa first 2 pages kasi di na bumalik yung pasyente mo eh. So, nakakapagod din siya kasi ang haba niya. Both for the doctor and both for the patient. So, yon. Sa Philippines, meron tayong comprehensive geriatric assessment na galing sa NIH, so National Institute of Aging. Tapos, ito yung 12 domains ni CGA. So, lahat yan ina-assess. Lahat yan merong assessment tool na kailangan gawin. So, hindi lang siya basta questions. May mga exercises kang papagawa sa pasyente. So, lalo mas nakakapagod for the patient. And that is why nagkaroon ng minimum geriatric screening. So, a lot of studies already came out na better talaga na ma-MGS mo muna bago mo CGA. So again, si MGS hindi niya nire-replace si CGA, no? siniscreen lang niya kung sino yung mga patients na mas makaka-benefit ng CGA. Okay? So, si MGS, ayan. And, ayan. So, ito yung ating, sobrang late pala, sorry. So, ito yung ating MGS. So, I think this is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 domains lang siya. Pero generally, yung important na geriatric syndromes, makukuha mo na from it. So, ito yung ginagawa natin. So, sa atin dito sa OPD, meron tayo sa may front page ng census natin na link ng assessment na yan. So, basically, ito, very straightforward. Tanungan lang. So, for example, um, meron ka bang tatlong following diseases? So, hypertension, diabetes, na-stroke ka na ba? More than 75 years old ka na ba? Um, ano yung AD8 score mo? Sa likod yan, meron pang question na AD8. Mamaya tuturo ko kung paano natin sasagot. So, yan, mas mabilis lang siya. Okay? So, far may questions kayo. Okay. So, yan. Next is geriatric syndromes. So, pag sabi mong syndrome, it's a group of signs and symptoms that occur together and characterize a particular abnormality. So, the aggregate of symptoms and signs associated with any morbid process and constitution together the picture of the disease. So, a pattern of symptoms and signs with a single underlying cause that may not yet be known. So, yan ang syndrome. Ang geriatric syndrome naman refer to multifactorial health conditions that occur when the accumulated effects of impairments in multiple systems render an older person vulnerable to situational challenges. Medyo mahirap intindihin, pero ito, mas madali. Yan. So, para mas madali nyo siya maintindihan. Pag sinabi mong disease, alam mo yung etiology, alam mo yung pathogenesis, and alam mo rin yung presenting signs and symptoms. For example, COVID-19. Alam mo kung ano yung etiology niya. Alam mo kung paano siya nangyayari, yung pathogenesis niya. And alam mo kung ano yung constellations of signs and symptoms. Although, iba-iba lang yung manifestations nila. Diba? So, alam mo, may ubo, may sore throat, may ano, baka COVID-19 na to. Your syndromes, on the other hand, um, sila, pwedeng alam mo, pwedeng hindi mo alam yung etiology and pathogenesis, pero meron kang set ng signs and symptoms. Example, Down syndrome. Alam mo, dahil siya sa chromosomal abnormality, alam mo na meron siyang certain fascia na flattened face, short neck, small ears, ganyan. Pag nakakita ka ng isang tao na may Down syndrome, alam mo, Down syndrome siya. So, yun yun. Nagigets yung difference. So, ano naman si geriatric syndrome? Si geria, multifactorial health condition na nag-a-accumulate lahat ng possible etiologic factors na yun para magkaroon ng unified manifestation. Example, si patient mo, nag-develop siya ng dementia. Meron siyang dementia. Tapos, bigla siya nagka-UTI. Tapos, dahil may dementia na siya, ganyan. Nag, yung medications niya, parang masusobrahan siya sa inom. Or say, nagka-polypharmacy na siya. So, yung tatlong yon pwedeng mag-result si patient na magkaroon ng delirium. Gets nyo? Disease entity sila, iba-iba. Tapos, yung tatlong disease entity na yon, pwedeng magkaroon lang ng iisang manifestation. Okay? Gets? Okay, okay. Klaro? So, yun siya. So, a geriatric syndrome, it is a multifactorial health condition that occur when the accumulated effects of impairments in multiple systems cause a unified manifestation. Isa lang manifestation, pwedeng maraming dahilan. So, siguro ito lang yung syndromes in the young population and versus geriatric syndrome. So, pag sinabi mong geriatric syndrome, they are highly prevalent and mostly single symptom state. Tapos, maraming pwedeng maging dahilan or etiologic factors. Tapos, pwedeng nag-overlap yung mga etiologic factors na yon. And pwedeng ang isang pasyente ay merong more than one geriatric syndrome. Okay, so pwedeng meron siya ng lahat ng 12 na yon na pinakita ko kanina. So, yun. Um, so, the use of Zeria leads to a special clinical consideration. So, because kapag ang patient meron siyang geriatric syndrome, alam mo na meron siyang multiple risk factors and alam mo na meron siyang multiple organ involvement. Okay? So, hindi lang isang ano yung tinitignan mo. Medyo mas malawak yung tingin mo when you talk about geriatric syndromes. And siguro yung pinaka-importanting message dito ay yung di ba tayo, when we see a patient, we diagnose first. We try to come up with a differential diagnosis and try to diagnose the patient before we treat the patient. Pero with geriatric syndromes, mas helpful na i-treat mo na kaagad yung syndrome na yon, even in the absence of a firm diagnosis or um, ano talaga yung underlying cause. Okay? Mas beneficial siya na i-treat mo na kaagad. Bakit? Kasi nga, marami kang kailangan tignan. So baka matagal pa bago mo malaman kung ano talaga yung sakit niya kapag nag-request ka ng diagnostics. Kesa sa i-treat mo na siya kaagad. So, yan. Ito yung 13 common geriatric syndromes. You have your 3Ds, dementia, depression, delirium, falls, pressure ulcer, polypharmacy, incontinence, iatrogenic problems, failure to thrive, osteoporosis, sensory alterations, including hearing and visual impairment, and immobility, gait disturbances, and sleep disorders. So this is based from the Education Committee Writing Group of the American Geriatric Society. Yan. Um, yun. So, let's go to specific Zeria syndrome. So, ang discuss ko lang yung hanggang fall kasi those are what I think are very important and very common na pwede nating makita. So, first is dementia. And dementia is an umbrella term. So, this is used to define diseases that is characterized with loss of memory, that interferes with our daily life. Okay? So, under ni dementia, nandyan si Alzheimer's, si vascular, si Lewy body, si frontotemporal, na meron din kanya-kanyang manifestations on your own. Pero, basta, in general, si dementia, nakaka-apekto siya sa memory and cognitive function and dun sa ating daily life. So, these are the signs and symptoms of dementia. Ang pinaka-importante dito ay yung ABCs of dementia. Yan yung ABCs of dementia. Sila ang key features ng dementia. Number one is affectations ng activities of daily living. And then, behavioral impairment and cognitive impairment. So, yung yellow picture, yan, kahit ano na yan, it just gives you specific examples, no? So, for example, memory loss, forgetting yung important dates, forgetting information na kakaalam lang nila. Tapos, nasan ba dito yung changes in mood and behavior? Sila, minsan nagkakaroon ng depression kasi may BPS biopsycho something. So, basta yon, yan ang tatandaan nyo. And then, si dementia, meron siyang tatlong stage. Early stage, middle stage, and late stage. So, kapag early stage, mild forgetfulness pa lang, nakakalimutan lang yung nilista, nakakalimutan kung saan nilagay yung gamit, ganyan. And then, losing track of time, becoming lost in familiar places. Yung middle stage naman, mas nagiging obvious na yung signs and symptoms and they become more restricting for the patient. So, for example, nakakalimutan na yung pangalan, um, nawawala na siya sa sarili niyang bahay, um, kailangan na ng tulong sa kanyang activities of daily living. And then you have your late stage. So ito, severe na talaga yung memory disturbance and sobrang obvious na ng physical signs and symptoms niya. So, hindi niya talaga makilala yung kapamilya niya, pati yung IADLs, minsan kailangan mo na sila ng tulungan, minsan di na sila makalakad, minsan aggressive na sila, nananakit na sila. Meron tayong naging patient na ganito, di ba? Na dementia na, o basta. Yun, nananakit na siya, sinasaktan niya na yung sarili niya, ganyan. So, how do we assess? So, meron tayong MOCA or MOCA-P and your MMSE or MMSEP. So, take note nyo lang na, alam niyo naman si MOCA-P, di ba? Ito yung example niya. So, ayan. So, ayan, ito yung MOCA. Okay, so, meron lang siyang, um, basta papasagot nyo lang siya kung ano ito. And then, siguro yung important lang dito is, um, additional 1 point for less than or equal to 12 years lang yung years of education niya. Magpa-plus 1 kayo. Okay? So, yung MMSE naman, mas prefer nila ang MMSE kaysa sa MOCA. Kasi si MMSE, meron siyang clock drawing test. Pero, or si, parang si MOCAP yung may clock drawing test. Si MOCAP yung may clock drawing test. So, mas prefer nila si MOCAP kaysa kay MMSE kasi si MOCAP, yung clock drawing test actually test your executive function. So, ito yung scoring niya. So, 1 point kapag close yung circle, 1 point kapag yung number nakasa correct yung position, 1 point kapag ka nalagay niya lahat ng 12 numbers, 1 point kapag correct yung clock dun sa oras na sinabi mo. Kapag ka yung nakuha niya ay 3 or less, you have to investigate further. And then, we work up the patient. So, ito yung mga i-request mo. Um, sa non-contra CT or MR, meron naman tayo tinatawag na dementia protocol. So usually yun naman yung nire-request natin. So bakit natin kailangan mag-request ng TFTs and B12 and folate? Kasi apparently merong reversible dementia and that's usually because of hypothyroidism and B12 deficiency. So yun. And then, goals of care. So, yung goal mo kapag nagmamanage ka ng patient with dementia, number one talaga patient education. You have to educate the family. Lalo na kapag ka irreversible na yung dementia niya. Kailangan klaro sa kanila na there is no cure and what we are trying to do is just to preserve or prevent the progression and to stabilize the condition, prevent it from worsening. Okay? Hindi gagaling. You have to clear that with them. And then, you can start medications such as donepezil, rivastigmine, or memantine. So, sa Zeria, always start low, go slow. Meron lang din limit. So, pag nandun na siya sa severe spectrum, wala na rin kasing effect itong donepezil, memantine. So, tinitigil na rin siya. So we give more antipsychotic. Basta kung ano yung lumabas na symptom, yun yung kinokontrol natin. Pero hindi na tayo nagbibigay nitong mga ito. Kapag nandun na siya sa may level 3. Tapos, hindi effective yung memory enhancers. Okay? So, yung mga memory enhancers na bibigay, hindi siya, or memory enhancer supplements, hindi siya recommended na ibigay. And 5 advices for dementia patients. Number 1 is diet. I think Mediterranean diet yung ina-advise nila. Exercise, control the vascular diseases kung meron. Cognitive training, so memory activities. And increase social engagement. Dun sa seminar na pinuntahan namin sa St. Luke's, ang ina-advise nila na social engagement ay ballroom dancing. Nakalimutan ko na kung bakit, pero yun. And then, ito yung medication. So, yan. Kung paano yung initial dose, ano yung maximum dose, and how you titrate. And then next is delirium. So, delirium is characterized by an altered awareness, mainly affecting attention. Remember, si dementia, cognition. Si delirium, more on attention. So, it's multifactorial with various predisposing and precipitating factors. So, number one na risk factor niya is yung age more than 70 years old. So yun, number one yun. Sa lahat ng journal na binasa ko, yun yung ano niya, age more than 70 years old. Male gender, yung patient nagkaroon ng history ng dementia. And then precipitating factors would be medications, acute illnesses such as infections, or exacerbation ng chronic medical disease. So siguro important lang to take note of um, the risk of or the prevalence of dementia in community dwelling older adults are lower compared to those admitted in nursing homes and those who are admitted in the hospital. Okay, kaya medyo yung trend din ng geriatric care is going towards community dwelling. Mas advisable siya kesa sa ilalagay mo siya sa nursing home. So, yun. This is just the DSM-5 criteria for delirium. So, basahin nyo na lang yan. And then, kapag may altered mental status, tatandaan nyo lang yung tatlong D. Kasi yun yung tatlo yung kailangan ma-differentiate. Ano ba to? Delirium, dementia, o depression? Oo, kasi kapag depression, pwede rin siyang mag-manifest as an altered mental status sa older adults. Okay? So, yung 3Ds yun. So, specifically, si dementia and delirium, um, kailangan natin siya ma-differentiate. So, merong mnemonic na OCD camps. Okay, so yun yung titignan mong parameters. Onset, kapag delirium, rapid, hours to days lang. Kapag dementia, insidious, pwedeng months to years. And then, si delirium is fluctuating, sundowning. Kapag kagabi, doon yata sila mas delirious. Yan. And then, si dementia progressive. Your duration, delirium is reversible, dementia is irreversible. And consciousness ni delirium altered, kay dementia, most likely normal. So, ayan. So, attention, significant inattention with delirium, and normal with dementia. Your memory, impaired yung immediate recall ni delirium, pero sa dementia, it's normal. Sa delirium, pwede ring hyperactive and hypoactive. Ito yung mahirap kapag hypoactive kasi mahirap siyang i-detect. Pero pag hyperactive kasi, katulad ng patient natin before, na hyperactive na delirium, madali mo siyang ma-assess. Pag hypoactive kasi, mahirap. Mahirap siya ma-detect. And then, the sleep-wake cycle is often reversed in delirium and dementia is normal. So, yun. Yun yung mga kailangan yung tandaan. Pero, they can coexist. Pwede nang merong pre-existing dementia yung patient, nagkaroon siya ng infection, pwede siya magkaroon ng delirium. Kaya medyo mas mahirap siya. Pagka ganon, i-refer na natin siya. Tapos, ayan. So, yung when we see patients whom we have high suspicion of delirium, it is very important to take the complete history and PE. So, kasama doon yung history ba na nagkaroon na siya ng delirium or dementia before, drug use, existing diseases ni patient, lahat ng medications na tinitake niya, and complete physical examination talaga. Kasi lahat siya important for you to be able to rule out ano ba talaga yung possible causes ng delirium. Screening is your 480 kapag ka dito ka sa kapag ka OPD setting, ganyan. Pero kasi 'di ba, hindi tayo madalas nakakita ng patients whom we consider na merong delirium pero mas more on dementia. Kasi mas common nga yung mga patients na may delirium sa hospital setting. So sa kanila, CAM kapag hospital, pagka CAM ICU sa ICU setting. Okay? And then ina-advise din na si patient ay mamoka natin para alam natin yung baseline neurocognitive status ni patient. Kasi everyday na time na admitted yung pasyente ay dapat pinomonitor mo yung symptoms niya. And ang advisable na ginagamit is DRSR-98. Pero that's nice to know. So, management is syempre important ma-differentiate mo muna si delirium and dementia. Kasi magkaiba talaga yung treatment nila. With delirium, you always have to address the underlying factor. Yun yung kailangan mong i-control. Pwede kang magbigay ng antipsychotics, especially if your patient is hyperactive. So, pwede ka magbigay ng haloperidol, risperidone. However, we don't advise that. Ang number one or ang first line mo kapag delirium ay non-pharmacologic. So, pwedeng um, pwedeng yung pagtanggal lang ng medications, simple pagtanggal ng medications. You have to reorient your patient. So, advisable na mas malapit sila sa bintana, merong orasan na malaki, may date doon. Pagkakausapin mo siya, palagi mo sasabihin kung sino ka. At pati yung mga nurses, pag pupuntahan yung patient, palagi sasabihin kung sino sila. And then, um, minsan kasi may mga patients na um, meron silang suicidal ideations or they might cause harm. So, pwede mo silang i-restrain, pero hindi rin siya advisable. As much as possible, non-verbal cues ka muna yung gagamitin mo. O kaya, pwede kang mag-verbal na i-calm mo muna yung patient. Pero, last resort mo yung i-restrain sila. Okay? So, yun. Pagka delirium, you have to identify the underlying cause and treat the underlying cause. And then you have your depression. So, um, most common risk factors kapag yung patient may family history ng depression, merong history ng depression nung bata pa siya, and iba yung brain chemistry, or may current stress na pinagdaanan, loss of loved one, difficult relationship, stressful situation, ganyan. Yeah. These are the symptoms of depression. So, basahin nyo na lang yan. And then, our assessment is what we call your geriatric depression scale. So, meron tong long form, which is 30 items, at meron siyang short form. So, siguro yung short form na lang yung gamitin natin. Pero take note lang na sa GDS, kapag ka moderate to severe, kailangan mo mag-cornell. Pero may mas madaling way to assess depression. Mamaya ituturo ko yun. But ayan yung scoring ng ating GDS or your geriatric depression scale. So remember, 9 and above, you have to do your Cornell already. Kasi parang hindi yata, hindi, ano ba, hindi reliable si GDS to detect talaga kapag nasa severe depression-ish na siya. Yan. And then, ito yung Cornell. Pero mamaya ituturo ko yung easier way na yun yung mas pwede natin gawin sa OP. And then I fall. So, important lang to kasi um, maraming risk factors kung bakit nagkakaroon ng fall yung patient. Number one is pwedeng may weakness because of chronic conditions, pwedeng merong vitamin deficiency, pwedeng may difficulty na with walking and balance, pwedeng because of pain with osteoarthritis, pwedeng meron siyang ginagamit na merong medications na may sedation, pwedeng vision pa problems, poor footwear, and home hazard. So all of this contributes to increasing the risk of the patient na malaglag. And as much as possible, ayaw natin mangyari yon sa isang patient. Why? Kapag nalaglag yung patient, mas tumataas kasi yung morbidity and mortality nila. So, kapag nalaglag ang patient, pwedeng meron kang tatlong pwedeng maging ending. Number one, well, apat pala. Number one, okay, pwede siya makarecover, walang nangyari. Second is, pwedeng mabalian siya, which is yung most common na nafa-fracture nga kasi is yung sa hip area. And then head injuries. So ito, medyo ano siya sa mga patients na nagtitake ng blood thinners. Medyo dangerous siya for patients who are taking blood thinners. And then, yung fourth, pwedeng matakot silang malaglag ulit. Okay? So, kapag natakot silang malaglag ulit, i-restrict na nila yung everyday activities nila. They become less active. Eh, di ba ang number one goal natin in treating older adults is to maintain their independence. And then, pag less active na sila, mas humihina yung muscles nila, mas i-increase yung chance nila or yung risk nila for fall. Also, because they're less active, your muscles, balance also gets affected. So these are just important fall prevention tips. So number one is exercise. So advise them to do balance exercises, stretching exercises. I mean, you can see that naman with our daycare kung paano yung ano ni patient.
So
And
all of
then,
the words start with the letter F, because some of the answers from Japan. The reproductive. Look into.
ayan. Tapos, um, second is get your vision check, no? So, make sure lang na nakakapag-follow up sila sa opta nila. Tama yung grado nung sa mata nila. Review the medications. Katulad ng sabi ko sa inyo, may mga medications that could increase the risk of the patient to fall. And then, wear appropriate footwear. And then, sa environment, ito yung hindi kasi na-realize ng mga patients na sometimes yung environment, meron din tayong pwedeng maituro sa kanila. For example, grab bars. Sa CR, may grab bars, ganyan. Sa stairs, may rails. Um, Remove yung clutter sa daanan. Minsan may mga extension cord na nakakalat or ano na pwede silang madapa. So, a-advise natin sila na either i-tape yun o lipat ng positioning, gumamit ng non-slip mats, yung mga common items na ginagamit nila, as much as possible, ilagay na lang yon within their reach, yung hindi na sila tutungtong, hindi na sila magtitingkayad to get it. And then, improve yung lighting. So, meron sa Shopee, ito nakuha ko to kay Doc Trisha, sa hagdanan, merong glow in the dark, dun sa may, either dun sa may step niya na dulo, para nakikita nung older adults, yung hagdanan, pagbababa sila. Pangalawa, merong nabibiling motion sensor light na pag gumalaw ka at a certain radius, bubukas siya. Okay? Pangatlo, pwede kang maglagay din nung um, ano ba, glow in the dark na strip lang dun sa ano ng dun sa may anuhan ng switch ng ilaw at dun sa ilalim ng floor. Yung 'di ba yung sa may yung ilalim ng pader, meron siyang parang mahabang ano doon, hindi yata floorboard yung tawag doon. Pero doon sa may edge ng sahig, para nai-illuminate pa rin yung sahig. Yung sa dulo niyan, yan, yung pinakadulo niyan. Pwede kang maglagay ng strip na yon doon sa may wall para nai-illuminate pa rin yung dinadaanan nila. So yun, yan lang yung mga ibang tips na ano, natandaan ko. So now we go to assessment. Ayan, konti na lang. So, when you talk about sorry. Hindi na siya maklose. Participants. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. When you talk about components, ano ba yung meron tayo dapat or dapat natin ginagawa kapag meron tayong patient na na-encounter na dito sa OPD? So number one, review the medical and family history, measurement and record their biometrics. So BMI, pero di na rin ganun ka-advisable yung BMI pagdating sa older adults. Yung better yung data na makukuha mo from bioimpedance kasi mas gusto mo yung muscle mass nila ang makuha mo. So yun. And then, assess and document yung mga assessment tools na ginawa mo in relation to cognitive impairment, depression, functional status, nutrition, levels of safety. May faster way of doing the screening for this. And then, establish a written schedule for recommended screening and preventive services. Yan actually ang nakalimutan natin sa handbook, kaya idadagdag natin. Education and counseling and referrals to other personalized preventive services and end-of-life care. With Geria, kapag geriatrician ka, dapat ka, sorry, di ba? With Geria, per se, kaduktong niya si Palya actually. And end of life care. So yung mga geriatricians, meron din silang um, experience with Palya in a way. Yeah. Tapos, paano yung flow? Yan. So una, physical assessment, and then functional, and then cognitive assessment. Tapos, pwede ka nang bahala ka na kung anong gusto mo, psychological or social assessment sa susunod. So, ito yung strategies for rapid screening. So, sa vision, pwede kang mag-Snellen chart. Okay? Kaso, kung hindi niya yung nababasa, marami tayong um, IEC materials dyan, di ba? Hanap ka na lang ng medyo malaki yung font, pabasa mo sa kanya. Pag di niya nabasa yun, baka kailangan i-refer na natin siya kay Okta. Hearing, usually naman si hearing kasi, well, number one, meron tayo ng whisper test. Hear Who, yung app niya sa phone, pwede nyo siyang i-download. So, yon. Or, pwedeng yung nakatayo ka sa likod nung patient, tapos magbubulong ka doon, tapos kailangan masabi rin ng patient kung ano yung binulong. Pwedeng ganon. Or, di ba minsan, kaharap mo yung patient, nag-uusap kayo, tapos hindi siya sumasagot. So, that's already, ano. Nutrition is, yun nga, we still try to monitor BMI. Tapos, tayo naman, kinukuha naman natin yung weight every time. So, inote nyo na lang kung merong unintentional weight loss of more than or equal to 5%. Kasi yun, that would require further investigation. So, yeah. And then, cognitive function. So, yung cognitive function, hindi naman siya kailangan sobrang sobrang nitty-gritty na MMSE plus Mocapi. So, yun na lang ay yung kapag parang sobrang severe na talaga ng case. Pero for us, just to screen the patient, pwedeng 3-item recall lang. Okay? So, or, pwedeng, ano nga clock drawing test. Pwede lang. So, ayan. And then, kung gusto mo talaga ng talagang assessment sa kanya, then that's the time that we can do the MOCA. So, kapag ka magko-cognitive test ka lang, kailangan alam mo lang yung native language ng patient. Tapos, kung meron siyang visual or hearing deficits. Tapos, um, yung educational attainment, important din yun. Kasi meron kaming patient ni Nessa before na ang baba di ko alam kung mukha yung ginawa namin. Pero ang baba ng mukha namin. Dahil yung patient ay no read, no read, no write, parang ganun. Basta may ano siya. So, yun, lesson learned yun. Kapag ka, kapag ka magagawa ka ng MOOCA or MMSE, ganyan, tanungin nyo kung ano yung educational attainment niya. Kasi baka mamaya, mababa siya hindi dahil sa hindi niya kaya, kung hindi talaga siya nakakapagbasa. So, hindi siya nakakaintindi. Ganun. And then, ito lang yung yung screening. So, pwedeng 3-word recall after 1 minute. So, kapag hindi perfect, further evaluation. So, pwede kang mag-move on pwede kang mag-minicog. So, pwedeng 3-word recall and clock drawing test. So, yan. And then, pwede rin yung name 4-legged animals in 1 minute. Kapag less than 10 daw, abnormal. So, further, Pero, I think yung pinaka-common na ginagamit naman natin dito ay yung um, the minicog. Yung 3-word recall and clock drawing test. Um, Important si clock drawing test kasi yun nga, 'di ba, sabi ko sa inyo, it assesses executive function and visual spatial skills. So dalawang domains ng cognition na very important sa daily function ng isang tao. And then formal testing is your Montreal and your St. Louis University mental status examination. Pero mas common kasi natin ginagamit si MOOC. And then, this is for your depression. So, ito, PHQ-2. Kahit PHQ-2 lang. So, do you feel down, depressed, or hopeless? Having little interest or pleasure in doing the right things? Kapag ka no, hindi mo na siya kailangan i-test. Pero pag nag-yes siya nun, pwede kang gumawa ng our favorite PHQ-9 or your GDS, your Geriatric Depression Scale. And then, functional assessment. So, usually ito, tinatanong mo yung routine niya araw-araw. Ano yung usual niyang ginagawa? Important yun kasi pwede mo siyang tanungin ulit sa susunod na visit niya sa'yo. And baka by that time kasi, meron siyang mai-complain na, ay, bigla na siyang nahihirapan sa ganito. So, yan. Tapos siguro yung best na lang din is to ask kung kaya pa nilang gawin yung ADLs and IADLs. So, In-office screening, tatanong nyo lang, may history ba ng fall or takot bang malaglag yung fall? Tapos, yung formal assessment natin is your for your gait and balance. So, kapag nag-positive sila sa history of fall and fear of falling, kailangan natin i-assess yung gait and balance nila. So, how do we do that? So, ayan na yung time up and go test and your gait speed. So, si time up and go test, lalagay ka ng lamesa dito. Tapos, 10 meters layo. Tapos, um, bibilang ka ng 1, 2, 3. Pag sabi mo ng 3, tatayo siya. Dapat, pag tumayo siya, hindi niya gagamitin yung kamay niya to support themselves pagtayo. Tapos, lalakad siya ng usual lakad niya. Tapos, iikot siya, uupo siya ulit. Gagawin niya yon ng 3 beses. Okay? Yung first one, trial lang. Yung dalawa, pwede, yung dalawa, yung i-record natin. Tapos, paano kung meron silang assistive device? Pwede pa rin ba? Pwede pa rin. Pwede pa rin na with their assistive device. Um, Pwede ba? Paano pagka kalagitnaan din niya na kaya? Pwede ba siyang tumigil? Pwede siyang tumigil. Ang inonote nyo, kung saan siya nag-stop. Tapos, oo, 3 meters lang yung kinaya niya per pagkamay. 10, ayun, 3 meters, sorry. Tapos, okay. So, yan. Ito yung another test pa, which is yung balance. So, ito lang ay, ito lang yung, alam ko ito yung pinapatayo sila in certain stance. Tapos titignan if magiging unstable sila. Important lang na i-take note dito ay yung footwear. So, yung iba kasi, di ba, yung, lalo na pag mga babae. So, yun. And then, quality of life. So, yan. Ito, merong short form na 36 health survey questionnaire na pwede nating gamitin or SF-36. So, ito, nagamit siya extensively sa community living adults and hospitalized patients. Pero, ayan, it assesses physical function, social functioning, mental health and vitality, and general health perceptions. So, important yung questions about quality of life kasi dito rin natin malalaman ano ba yung goals of care nila? Ano ba yung gusto nilang type of care na makuha sa atin? So, yun. Um, Another way to assess quality of life is your 2 global questions for assessing quality of life. So, itong 2 questions na yun. How would you rate your overall quality of life at present? Would you say it is excellent, very good, good, fair, or poor? And thinking only about your health, how would you rate the quality of your life at the present time? So, yan. Yan yung mga itatanong mo. And then, yung advanced care planning. So, di ba tayo, kasi sanay kasi tayo na sa palya, pag medyo pumapangit na, dun natin ini-intro si advanced care planning. Pero kasi, in essence, dapat even if, siguro it's just difficult for us to introduce ACP kapag up and about yung patient. Di ba? Tama. Mahirap lang siya i-discuss na paano po pag tumigil na po, tapos na buhay siya, naglalakad, ganyan. Di ba? So, siguro sa more on the physician's perspective, yung hirap na i-introduce si ACP. Pero, dapat na i-introduce siya. Dapat napapag-usapan siya. Okay? So, regardless kung malapit nang nasa end of life na yung patient or hindi. But anyway, sa Jeria, dapat nadidiscuss si ACP natin. Especially yung mga nahahandle natin sa ward na patients. As much as possible, ayun, ma-open up natin sa kanila. So, yung importance niya is, you all know this naman na especially kapag okay pa sila, they get to have a say about what they want in their future medical care. Ganon. Okay? Tapos, ayan, the goal of ACP is to help ensure that people receive medical care that is consistent with their values, goals, and preferences during serious and chronic illnesses. So, um, ayun. So, in summary, the focus of geriatric assessment is on quality of life and function. Wait, before that, siguro, yun, tinuruan ko kayo kung paano mag-assess. Tapos, ano na pag na-assess mo siya? So, determine if you need to refer the patient. Okay? Kasi, yun nga, sa atin, yung importante kasi sa atin is we get to see, to screen them, detect what the problem is, and then we assess if kaya ba nating i-manage o dapat i-refer na natin siya. Okay? Okay. The focus of geriatric assessment is on quality of life and function, and successful assessment promotes wellness and independence. Strategies that enhance communication with older patients should be used. So, alam niyo na yung strategies, napag-usapan na natin yung kanina. Rapid screening strategies are available and should be utilized. Comprehensive assessment includes physical, cognitive, psychological, and social aspects of health. And your advanced care planning is a process that captures evolving conversations taking place over time, not a one and done event. Discussions should be revisited with any change in health status or other life transitions. So, yun yung summary ng assessment, no? So, ayun, sana after this lecture, mas kaya nyo na. Sana may, sana may, mas kaya nyo nang mag-screen nung Geria patients natin. Mas kaya nyo nang mag-handle. Especially kasi now yung pinag-uusapan naming trajectory ni Dr. Trisha is, kumbaga lahat ng Geria patients would go to us na. And then, we will then refer the patients to Geria kung Geria OPD, kung kailangan talaga na complicated talaga yung cases. Yun. So, medyo sa atin na babagsak lahat ng... So, sana, may natutunan ba kayo? So yun, sana mas naintindihan niyo yung concept kung paano natin sila iti-treat, paano natin sila kakausapin, and ano yung mga kailangan natin i-take into consideration kapag mayroon tayong Zeria patient. So may reference for the assessment of TGB teaching slides. Hindi na ako naghanap na iba. So, I think yun lang po. May questions kayo? Sa Zoom po, meron po bang may tanong? Have questions? Okay, kung wala na po.
Sa ano no?
Hmm?
Kasi yung kanina, PHQ9 or GDS,
Pwedeng G.
ano
Oh,
yung mas preferred mo sa although validated naman sila pa rin. Kung pa kasi personally nagamit.
mas ginagamit, mas okay si PHQ9.
Mas,
Hmm.
kasi mas,
Kasi nga, kasi 'di ba, well, number one, mas onti si PHQ9. Si GDS nga kasi, kapag ka na-determine mo na siya, okay, moderate depression, kailangan mo pang mag-cornell para ma-make sure mo na moderate talaga yung depression niya. Unlike kay PHQ9, na kapag PHQ9, lumabas siya na moderate severe, go, refer. Ganun na siya. So, ayun. Ah, ah. Ay, wait lang, may sasabihin pa ako. First year. Ano nga ba sasabihin ko sa first year? Asikasuhin nyo na yung PAFP, ano nyo. Ano ba to?
membership.
Membership. Ah. Ha? Medyo matagal siya. Siguro po, yun lang po. Thank you so much po. Thank you, Doc Jazz. See you tomorrow, 7:30 po sa tapat ng lobby.
Okay po, Doc. Thank you po.
Thank you. Okay, lang.